Today we're going to be talking with Phionne Montague Weir. Phionne is the president and CEO of Quality Housing Solutions, located right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. She's a native of Raleigh, and she really cares about her community and dedicated to rebuilding her community. Let's see if we can get Phionne on the phone.
Hello, this is Phionne.
Hey Phionne, this is Kelvin Gervais. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Kelvin.
I'm actually out by your office and wanted to see if you would like to come driving while black with me.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll be out front shortly. See you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's go get Phionne and see if we can buy us some houses. How are you, sister?
Hey there, I'm good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Always pleasure. So, say hello to everybody and introduce yourself. I said a little bit, but say hello to everybody.
Hello everyone, I am Phionne Montague Weir. I'm the real estate broker for Quality Housing Solutions. I've been in the business for, for about 16, 17 years.
You're key to our city right now because you're in real estate. And as I'm sure you're aware of, there's so many new homes being built on every side of town, but especially, the side of town I live on and side of town we're from, in Southeast Raleigh. There are tons of homes being built, being sold, and people don't think they can actually afford them or buy them or even the process.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you think of that, sometimes when you think of buying a home, it seems so out of reach.
Yeah.
What are some tips to home buying?
Okay, well, home buying is not as scary as you might think. As long as you're working with a professional who knows what they are doing, they can guide you right through the process with no problem. If you're interested in buying a house, the very first thing you want to do is pull your own credit. You can go to websites like annualcreditreport.com to pull your credit report to see if there are any items on there that aren't supposed to be on there. About 80% of people have mistakes on their credit report that they don't even know about because they're not pulling it on a regular basis. So that's the number one thing that you want to do.
What was that percentage again?
About 80% have mistakes on their credit report. It could be something that you paid off that was not taken off of your credit report and still showed, it's still showing on your credit report. It could be something, maybe something that was sold to another collection agency, and for some reason it's something is on the report that should not be.
Right.
And so there's a dispute process that all three credit bureaus have. You have three credit bureaus, and each of them report different things.
Okay.
Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, and you want to start the dispute process if you do find something on there that shouldn't be, and that may help your credit score tremendously. That's the very first thing that you want to do before you even start trying to buy a house.
Okay.
So once you've gotten everything cleared up on your credit report, then you can go to a lender and get pre-qualified. You can get pre-qualified, but I always suggest that my clients get pre-approved. That means that the lender pulls your credit.
Yeah, explain the difference, because it was difficult for me to learn the difference between that. So explain the difference between that.
So pre-qualified, you could just call your bank on the phone and say, hey, I'm interested in speaking with a mortgage loan officer to get a home, and they'll just take your application either online or over the phone. They don't verify your income, and they may not even pull your credit report at that point. They'll just or they just may ask you some just preliminary information about yourself, and they'll give you a qualification letter based on what you told them. They haven't verified anything really at this point.
Right.
When you get a pre-approval, they take you all the way through the process and verify everything based on your income and your credit. So you have a more solid foundation whenever you go to make an offer for a house.
Okay.
If I have a client that's pre-approved, I'll let the listing agent know, hey, my buyer is pre-approved. They've already gone through the process, and they have the letter from the loan officer, and sometimes I can even give them the loan officer's phone number, and they can validate that my client is qualified to purchase a home for the said amount. So the letter will say, well, this person could qualify for up to, say, $250,000. Now, I like to work with my clients and let them know, just because you qualify for $250,000 doesn't mean you have to buy something for $250,000.
Right.
I try to talk to them.
Say that again.
Just because you qualify for $250,000, $350,000, I have clients who qualify for $450,000.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to go to that max. What I like to do is sit down with clients and say, what would you like your monthly payment to be? And then from there, we can determine how much of a home that you would like. And we also discuss goals like, do you want to have money in your budget for maybe an investment property? That's another reason why you may not want to go to the top of your approval.
So I didn't cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
So you're saying also that you don't just house people. You also will assist people in buying homes for investment properties too.
That is correct.
What does that look like?
Well, if you are, not everybody is cut out to be a landlord.
Indeed.
Okay.
It's like not everybody is cut out to be a pet owner.
Exactly.
Not
There's a
everybody's
lot
cut
of
out to be a
responsibility
landlord.
involved. I bought my first investment property when I was 21, and I was so young then I didn't even know what the you know how challenging it could be at 21 years old. It was actually something that I suggest to young people. It was a duplex. What a lot of people don't know is that if you want to invest in property, you can get an FHA loan to not only get a single family home, but you can use that same FHA loan to get a duplex.
Really?
So what I did was bought a duplex, and I lived on one side and rented the other side out to cover the mortgage in full. So for years I lived with no mortgage, and that's how people do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So basically you were living for free.
Absolutely. You can do that with a duplex, a triplex, or a quad.
Right.
If you have a quad, it's 4. So if you live in one unit and rent the other 3 out, as long as you're an occupant for one of those units, you can likely qualify for an FHA loan.
Do you partner with other folks, or do you and your husband just do the?
It's just me and my husband for right now. He has a home renovation company, so we're kind of like a team that we work together to try to we see a house, we will purchase the house, fix it up, and we're called buy and hold investors. We're not fix and flip investors. There's a difference.
Say more to that buy and hold.
Okay, so if you're interested in investing, you have to determine what kind of investor you want to be. Are you trying to be a buy and hold investor, meaning you want to be a landlord?
Right.
Or are you not interested in being a landlord and you just want to make some quick money? A lot of people, there's a lot of TV shows about the quick money.
I was just about to mention that, like flip this house or something like that.
Yeah, you have to really be careful with flipping houses, because they act like it can be done in a weekend, but if you're actually doing it the right way, there's a lot more to it than that.
Television makes it look like a 30-minute process.
No, they don't tell you about dealing with the city inspectors, as far as the electrical, plumbing, mechanical. I mean, you have to have these things inspected by the city and get permitted before you actually put the house back on the market.
So are these things that you teach?
As far as fixing and flipping?
Yes. Are these things that you teach?
Well, actually, I am working on a course to teach this, like a seminar to teach people how to invest, but more so, I'm pulling on my 15 years of property management experience and teaching people who actually already have properties how to manage their property the right way. Because a lot of people jumping on the wave of buying investment property, and now they have a tenant that's running all over you, not paying the rent. They got 10 pit bulls in the backyard and all types of things. And I get calls like this often, but I'm not able to address people on a one-on-one basis because, you know, I'm the broker of the company. I have to be out selling real estate. I don't really
I was gonna say
counsel.
that's kind of unique for the real estate developer to still be dealing with the people. Isn't that kind of unique?
Yeah. So
after the home is purchased,
right. You want to educate yourself prior to investing in rental property, because there are a lot of laws out there that you have to abide by, whether it be fair housing or the Security Deposit Act or just the general local ordinance in general, whether the community that you purchase a home in will even allow you to do what you want to do with the home.
Indeed.
I've talked with some people who wanted to purchase homes and do Airbnb. Well, right now Raleigh doesn't really want you to do Airbnb or any short-term rentals in the city of Raleigh. So there's that aspect of it that the research has to be done before you even purchase the home for investment purchase. So there's a lot of education that I'm working on to try to create a lot of material to create for people in the industry.
So what is the number one problem that you run into on when people are not, that keeps people from being prepared to buy a home?
Credit.
Credit.
No, hands down is credit, and what I'm seeing lately is student loan debt. Student loan debt didn't used to be such a huge problem.
Yeah,
but
it's a problem now.
Within the last year, there have been changes so that whenever you're getting qualified, the loan officer may have to, if your student loan is in deferment or something of that nature, and you're not actually making payments, instead of using they'll use 1% of the total amount that you owe on the loan. So if you have $100,000 worth of student loan debt, which is very common.
It is.
It's very common. I want to caution everybody, whenever you're taking out those student loan debts, if you're in college, be careful. That can really, really, really hold you back when you graduate from getting a house. But
that's deep, because you never really think of that.
Yeah, you're trying to get the maximum refund you can back, and you're not thinking about how it's going to affect you when you graduate. So be careful. It's preventing, just this month alone, let's see, in the month between February and March, I've had 5 people who could not qualify because of student loan debt. They'll use 1% of their balance. So that $1,000 a month in student loan debt, if you have $100,000, goes against your debt to income ratio.
Wow.
So be careful with that. So credit, and I would say high student loan debt, are 2 of the main factors that are preventing people from qualifying.
So if you have no credit, what are some routes that you could take to improve your credit to be able to purchase a home? Or is no credit good with purchasing a home?
No, they want to see that you have an established payment history.
Okay, so
you do want some credit. If you don't have absolutely any credit, I would suggest you get some credit, maybe in the form of a secure credit card. Start there. And build, and then after you've maybe had the secure credit card from 6 months or so, apply that same company for an actual credit card, and just start using it for little purchases, like maybe like to buy gas.
Be responsible.
Be responsible and pay it on time. For the best interest rates and to qualify for the best programs, they don't want to see any late payments on really anything for the last year. But let me tell you, if you can get your credit built up, and if you have stable employment, and you can save about $2,500 over a period of time, there are programs out there that will pay your down payment for you. They will also pay your closing costs for you. There are certain programs that will pay your down payment, your closing costs, and eliminate what's called PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, so that your monthly payment will be cheaper. And the same program has interest rates that can be just about any bank. As long as they're not credit score driven. Which is another thing. So there are programs out here like that. But you can't have any late payments within the last year, and you do have to meet their requirements.
Certain qualifications. But if you meet those, you should be okay.
If you meet those, you could absolutely be in a house for about between $2,500 and $3,500 out of pocket. And if you think about it, a lot of people that I work with are renting right now and paying $1,500 that don't have good credit.
Yeah.
So whenever they go to move in, the landlord sometimes will require you to put down 2 months of security deposit, which is already $3,000.
That's
and you'll
closing.
never see. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's closing.
That's ready to, you could purchase a house with that.
So you mentioned that there were programs that could help you, pay your down payment.
Mm-hmm.
Are there programs that'll help you during the other process? Do you identify those programs that can help you with, the home purchase and buying process? Or?
Yeah, I can help you. With
I know, but as far as the finance, as far as the money.
Oh, as far as the money is concerned,
you
want to speak with a loan officer, and I have a group of loan officers that I've established relationships with, and if I look at your talk to you and you tell me exactly what you're trying to do, I can refer you to loan officers that can put you on the right track, because the loan officer is very, very important in the process, because they're the ones with the money, not the realtor. We work with you after the lender tells us this person has qualified for this amount.
I'm glad you identified that.
Yeah. And then I, as the realtor, would take you to find you a home within that amount, the best home for the best price.
Right.
That's where I would jump in and help you. I would be with you from the very beginning all the way up through the end.
When that person says that, because you were talking earlier about how people can get approved for $400,000, and you say you wouldn't suggest them, or you might not want to take.
Well, they can if they want to, because we don't. I don't have a dog in the fight. If you want $400,000 house, we can completely do that.
Right.
That is no problem. But if you have other goals, like say for example, you do want to invest in rental property, you may not want to go to that, because it's going. If you get something for $400,000 as opposed to $300,000, it's going to your monthly payment is going to be different.
Yeah.
So when you go, So when you go for the rental property, they may say, your debt income ratio is out of alignment. Yeah.
So, do you deal in foreclosures?
Foreclosures are complicated. I don't deal with foreclosures one-on-one with clients, only because there's a couple of different things. There's a lot of different types of foreclosures. So you could go to the courthouse and you could go to something that's being auctioned off because somebody hadn't paid their taxes, and then it goes into foreclosure.
Right.
Or maybe they owe the HOA a whole bunch of money, and then it goes into foreclosure.
Yeah.
But what people don't realize about going to the auctions, you have to have a large percentage down. So you may have to have a 5% down, and then after you do that, your bid could be upset within a 10-day period. It's a lot of emotional roller coasters, and I find that my clients are not prepared to deal with what they have to deal with as far as auctions.
And you said an auction could request as much as 5% down?
At least 5% down.
What's the average that is usually requested down?
Well, at least 5%, and then say for example, it's $100,000 house, which is very difficult to find. If you find a $100,000 house and you go downtown and to the auction, you may be the only person there, and you say, oh wow, they're gonna want the money right then. You have to write them a check, or give them certified funds for that $5,000, and within 10 days you could possibly your bid could be upset by another person, and they have to provide like at least 5% over what you bid on. So that just keeps increasing the price over and over, and it could go back. It'll go back and forth until nobody upsets your bid, and that could be months. And in addition to that, you also have to have financing in place, because a lot of time when you buy an auction, say at the courthouse, they're not going to wait 30-45 days to close. They're not lenient whatsoever, depending on who the trustee is. That means who the attorney is who's handling it. They want you to close pretty quickly. So a lot of times you either have to get hard money or a private lender, or have the cash in hand to close the deal with. So dealing with things like auctions and foreclosures that you get from the courthouse is a lot more complicated than I find a lot of people are willing to do. And not only that, the auctions are happening at like 10:30 in the morning, and most people are at work when all this is going on. Sometimes I'm down there looking at the deals like, oh my God, where is everybody? This is like an amazing thing that this house is $100,000, but a lot of people either don't know, they don't know the process, they don't have the money, or just the knowledge in general.
So let me ask you this. If I have a foreclosure on my credit, can I was it ever possible for me to own a house again?
It is possible for you to own a house, depending on what product was it a VA or FHA, or it just depends on the circumstances surrounding the foreclosure.
But it doesn't mean that, you know, I'll never be able to own a home again.
Right. No, absolutely. There are people who you know, wait 2 years and then purchase another home, or maybe they had a short sale and there's a certain period of time you have to wait for that. But the lender would be able to tell you for your specific situation. Even people who've had bankruptcies can buy homes again. So don't count yourself out. That's what I find a lot of people do. They say, oh, well, I had a foreclosure, you know, 5 years ago, and that may not even be what the particular lender who you're working with even cares about. So you have to give yourself a chance. If you've had a short sale or a foreclosure or maybe a repossession on your car or something that you deem to be a very serious matter, it may not be to the lender that you're talking to.
So in 2018, is it still possible to purchase a home without any out-of-pocket cash money?
No. I mean, I'm not going to say no. Let me take that back. I'm not going to say no, but I haven't seen it happen only because we're in Raleigh, in the Triangle area. It's a very competitive market. It is what's called a seller's market. That means, I mean, you have people moving here from California and New York and all over the place coming here, and when they see a home for $250,000 with like a quarter acre, they're jumping right on it. And you have to compete with those type of people, and you have to have what's called earnest money, which is your deposit, and you have to have due diligence. So you at least need to have those two things in order to be competitive in this market. If you don't have earnest money and you don't have due diligence, and then you have to pay for your inspection, which costs maybe $400 or $500. You have to have pest inspection because you don't want it to have termites, and if it does, you want it to treat it. And then you have to have other things like an appraisal. That's going to cost about $400 or $500. So you do need some money in order to get a house, even if you go through a program that offers a down payment and closing costs. That doesn't mean they're gonna pay for everything. You do have to have some skin in the game.
What is closing?
Closing is when your loan has gone through underwriting. You've been approved in totality. So the pre-approval is exactly that. It's a pre-approval, but you still have to go through what's called underwriting with the financial institution who's going to give you like the money. Okay, so once that's complete, the buyer and the seller, they come to a meeting called closing with the closing attorney and the realtors who are involved, and they sign all of the documents that are necessary to transfer that deed from the seller to the new buyer or to the new owner. And that's when funds are exchanged, the realtor is paid, if the seller will receive a check or get the money wired to their bank. So it finalizes the deal, and it makes you the after the deed is recorded, that means that you are now the owner of that property.
So what does Quality Housing Solutions bring to Raleigh that makes it and keeps it standing out from other or average realty firms?
Well, we take care of our clients. We work with them from the beginning to the end. If somebody comes to me and they're serious about purchasing a house, I won't let them go, and I won't stop contacting them until they tell me, look, I don't want to do it anymore. Because if you have a goal and you tell me that this is your goal, we're going to get to that goal. You know, because I've done it before for so many other people, and I know that I can help somebody who wants a house to get into a house. But they have to be committed to the process. You know, they can't say they want a house, but then they're not doing what is necessary in order to get the house. Because it is a process, especially if you're coming from a place with no savings and bad credit, and you have these steps that you need to take. You know, so we together we can do it, but I can't do it and pull people along. I can support them whenever they tell me they want to do it. I can help them do it, but you know, it's a partnership.
And it sounds like, you know, you must really be committed. You know, it doesn't sound like, you know, car purchasing. No. You can go out and just, you know. It sounds like it's most definitely something you have to be committed to.
You definitely have to be committed, and then you have to just understand how you can leave a legacy with real estate. Real estate could be a pillar of wealth. It can help you. I work with people all the time who have inherited property, and it has changed their entire life. I work with what's called probate, like people have inherited property.
I want you to say more about that, because we tend to traditionally just get rid of inherited property, and that sort of is a downfall in our community, is just releasing inherited property. So please give me your expertise on that.
Well, what I'm finding is, one thing I've learned with working with probates and working with people who have inherited property, I'm probably not going to leave any property to my child, because
I know that's
if you go by some of these properties where the grass is growing up and the windows are busted out, if you do your research, sometimes you'll find out, oh, this was Miss Hattie's property. You know, she left it to her heirs, and her heirs, you know, have look what they've done with it.
Right.
So and
especially during our I'm sorry for cutting you off again, but especially during our generation, you know, and our parents' generation, a lot of them moved away.
Yes.
From where the parents originally were at. So they're living in Maryland.
Yes.
And they're in the house down here in Raleigh, and Miss Hattie passed away. And they can't come down every weekend to cut the grass and keep code up and keep their paying taxes on it. Brothers and sisters paying tax on it. And sometimes we feel, without thinking of the long-term wealth and generational wealth, we just feel, you know, it's easy to go ahead and get rid of it.
Yeah, and if you can't keep it up, and if you can't keep the taxes up, you probably will want to sell it. But a lot of people who inherited the property, they get these like little cards in the mail saying, we buy houses. We'll come out and buy it in cash, no repairs. We can close in 10 days. But what they don't know is those people are buying it for a fraction of what the property is actually worth. So what I do is I work with those people. They'll come to me and they'll say, hey, this person came to my house the other day from this card, and they said that they would give me, you know.
What's the lowest you've heard?
$40,000 into that 2018. Well, I actually had one that just sold for $125 that was offered $40,000. 125 that was offered $40,000. So you have to what I do is, once they come to me and say, hey, this person offered me this amount of money, what I would encourage everybody, if you get a card in the mail saying we buy houses for a certain amount, and the person actually comes out and gives you an estimated value of your house, tell them just hold on and call me, or call another realtor that you trust to do what's called a comparative market analysis, to give you the actual estimated market value of that house. Because
they're just giving you what they're offering.
They're just giving you just pennies on the dollar.
And I'm pretty sure with their word play, it makes it appear like this is the best you're going to get. Right. Or
they may say take it or leave it.
Yeah, or this is what your house is worth.
Right. Right. And a lot of times they'll say, well, the tax value is such and such. The tax value means nothing. It means nothing when you're trying to sell a house. I don't care how raggedy the house is. Sometimes the land could be worth more than the actual house is sitting on it. I talk to a lot of people who own their homes on like Jones Street, Cabarrus Street, anywhere in downtown Raleigh. And they say, well, you know, he offered me $50,000 or $70,000 or however much they offer. And I do a comparative market analysis, and I find out that property is worth way more. Not the house itself, but the land it sits on.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So if you inherited property and you don't want to maintain it, which is fine, just make sure you talk with a realtor who knows the area and can give you the actual market value for the property and help you sell it for as much as you can, because your grandmother didn't work that hard for somebody else to get all the equity out of it. You know, and if you keep it, and if you moved out of state, you can keep it, and you can keep it as a rental property, but you could get a local property manager to manage the property for you. Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this. What does success look like to you for Quality Home Housing Solutions?
Well, that's a good question. That is a really good one, because the main thing that I've always wanted to do with my business and with real estate is help people who are trying to help themselves as it relates to real estate. You know, if you're trying to help yourself and you're paying, you know, $1,000 a month for rent, you have to get out of that situation, and you're committed to it. I'm committed to helping. So success to me is helping as many people as I possibly can to obtain real estate, whether it be investment or whether it be a primary residence. Just try to help as many people as I can to do that. Yeah, because that is how a lot of times legacy is created.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Most
so if
definitely.
you have a home and you purchased it and say your kids want to go to college, a lot of times you could take a line of credit out and send them to college, and the interest rate is lower than you could find elsewhere. So it's a lot of ways to tap into the equity within your home without selling it.
Right.
So if you could send them to college to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or something like that, and then they purchase their house, and then they'll be able to use the equity in their house to do that for their children. So it's a lot of ways to use real estate, whether it is for investment purposes or just to live in. And also I like creating stability for families. A lot of times, especially now, there's a lot of landlords saying, "Oh, we're not renewing your lease. You got 30 days to move. I'm going to sell the house."
I've been hearing so much of that.
Yeah. So that happens a lot, and at a certain age, you don't want that type of pressure.
Right.
To find something in 30 days for your family to move out. It has to move out, and you may not be able to find anything. That's why you find so many people living in hotels. Yeah. So many people living in extended stays. It's a massive amount of people.
It is.
A lot of people don't know that the people that they're working with every day is living in a hotel. And they'll call me and they will tell me that, and I'll try to steer them in the right direction. Right. But it's a lot of people who are being displaced who you would never know are living like that, and living in hotels is expensive.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so trying to provide that to people, the stability to people, that's my goal.
That's the goal. So how because I know everybody's going to want to be in contact with you.
Okay.
Please,
I can handle that.
If you have anything coming up, mention that.
Okay.
And also mention all avenues to everybody on how they can get in contact with you. Okay.
You can, my direct line to the office is 919-637-1966. We do have a website. The website is Quality Housing NC, like North Carolina.com. You can reach me there, and you can also reach out to me on Facebook. We have a Facebook page as well, and a lot of times if we have homes that are coming soon, we'll put them there first.
Yeah, I watch it. I see it.
And I do try to create informative videos every now and again to put up there.
You have some nice homes. You be in some nice homes.
There's nice homes. I can get in no matter what the price range. If you're trying to buy a $500,000 home or whatever the price range is, I can get you into those homes, show them to you, give you the information about the community, or if you're looking for something on the lower end, say if it's just yourself and you're looking for a 1-bedroom condo, I can help you with that as well. So I try to get you into a home that fits your lifestyle. It's not about me and what I think you should do. It's about you and what your goals are.
Oh, that's key.
Yeah.
That's key that you said that. Thank you for riding while black with me.
Yeah, absolutely. This is great.
Thank you. And we most definitely going to have you up here again, to keep up with your progress. And and when you start doing the seminars, and I know you do workshops and all types, so most definitely keep us informed.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.